Okay, I'm here in surface area number 2 KME assignment. We want to find the surface area of this figure right here. Now remember, the surface area is the sum of the area of the faces, whereas volume is the amount of space inside of the figure. Surface area is the amount of space on the outside of the shape. And so what we have here is what is called a net, right? A net is when you take a three-dimensional figure and flatten it out. And so this now looks like a two-dimensional figure. It's flat. We can find the area of the faces. And once we find the area of all the faces, we can add them together. We can take their sum, and that would give us the area of the whole figure, the surface area. So let's first find the area of this figure, which is a square, right? It's a 0.8 by 0.8 square. And so I could say area equals length times width. And so of the square, 0.8 is the length and 0.8 is the width as well. All right, now what's 0.8 times 0.8? Well, you know 8 times 8 is 64, right? Because of your fact fluency. And you have 2 digits after the decimal. And so in your answer, you should have 2 digits after the decimal. So this would be 0.64, or we could say 0.64. That is the area of the square. Okay, now we also have 4 triangles, and they all have the same area. So area of a triangle is base, or 1/2 times base times height. So let's find the area of one of the triangles, and then once we know the area of one of the triangles, we can multiply by 4 to get the area of all 4 triangles. So area equals 1/2 times base times height. Okay, so I want half of the base. The base right here is this side of the square, which we know is 0.8. So I'll put in 0.8 for the base. Okay, now the height is shown to us right here. It's 1.1. 1.1. Okay, now what is 1/2 of 0.8? 1/2 times 0.8. Well, what's half of 8? Well, half of 8 is 4, right? So half of 0.8 is 0.4. You still got to multiply by 1.1. And so if we do 0.4 times 1.1, I'll get 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 0 is 0. Add placeholder 0. 1 times 4 is 4. And 1 times 0 is 0. So when you add, you get 4.4, right? Because you have 2 digits after the decimal. So there should be 2 digits after the decimal. So not 4.4, but 0.44. Excuse me there. 0.44 or 0.44. And so this is the area of one triangle. Right, I could say area of one triangle. And if I have 4 triangles, right? This one's 0.44, this one's 0.44, this one's 0.44, and this one's 0.44. So I have 4 of them that are 0.44. And so what I need to do here is take 0.44 and multiply it by 4, since I have 4 triangles. So 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 4 is 16 plus 1 is 17. 4 times 0 is 0 plus 1 is 1. So I get 2 digits after the decimal, and so that would be 1.76. 1.76. So this is the area of all 4 triangles. This is the area of the square. And so what I need to do is add those together. So I have 1.76, 1.76, that was the area of the 4 triangles, plus the area of the square, which was 0.64. So notice how I'm adding decimals here. I'm lining my decimal up. 6 plus 4 is 10, so put a 0, carry the 1. 1 plus 7 is 8. 8 plus 6 is 14. And 1 plus 1 is 2. Bring the decimal directly down. And so my answer is 2.40, or just 2.4. Okay, and this is surface area, so area is in square units. And so this is 2.4 meters squared. This 0 right here, we could say falls off. It's not really needed. So 2.4 square meters is the surface area of this figure. Now, what would this figure be? Its base, it has one base, which is a square, and it has four faces that all would meet at one point. If we folded this up, these four faces would meet at exactly one point. And so we would say this is a square pyramid. It's a square pyramid. So the surface area of the square pyramid is 2.4 square meters. All right, number two, we also have a square pyramid. Notice how the base, there's one base, and it is a square, right? How do I know it's a square? Well, it's a 4.1 by 4.1. Okay, so let's find the area of this square. So I'll put S for square. Area of square, I could say is side squared, or I could just say length times width. Okay, so the length is 4.1, and the width is 4.1. So to find the area of the square, I need to do 4.1 times 4.1. So I'm going to show my work here for multiplying decimals. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 4 is 4. On the second row, add placeholder 0. I've used that one. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. When I add, I get 1681, and there are how many digits after the decimal? There's 2 digits after the decimal, and so there should be 2 digits after the decimal in my answer. So this is the area of the square, 16.81. And again, I have 4 triangular faces that all meet at one point. They all meet at a vertex. And so this is, again, a square pyramid. I have the area of a square. Now let's find the area of the triangle. Okay, so remember, area of a triangle is 1/2 times base times height. Okay, so I have 1/2 times my base. My base is this right here, which is 4.1. So I'm going to put 4.1 in for the base. And my height. What is the height of this face? Well, this is showing me the height right here. The height is 5. So this will give me the area of one triangle. Let's first do 4.1 times 5. So 4.1 times 5. 5 times 1 will be 5. And 5 times 4 is 20. And then my decimal goes where? There's 1 digit after the decimal. And so in my answer, there should be 1 digit after the decimal point. So I have 20.5, but I still need to multiply by 1/2. Now remember that we've learned that multiplying by 1/2 is the same thing as dividing by 2. Because if you take a half of something, you're cutting it in half or dividing it by 2. So we have 20.5 divided by 2. And again, dividing by 2 is the same thing as multiplying by half. Do you see how my decimal's right here in this number 20.5? It's going to come straight up into my answer, straight up into my quotient. I could say 2 goes into 2 one time. 1 times 2 is 2. I would subtracting it 0, of course, bring down the next digit. 2 goes into 0 0 times, right? 2 cannot go into 0, so it goes in 0 times. I got to put a 0 there. 0 times 2 is 0. I subtract 0 minus 0 is 0, bring down the next digit. 2 goes into 5 twice because 2 times 2 is 4. I subtract 5 minus 4 to get 1. So I need to keep going. I have to add a placeholder 0 here so that I can bring it down. And this is where I would end, right? 2 goes into 10 5 times because 5 times 2 is 10. Once I subtract, I get a 0. Okay, so the area of one triangle we found is 10.25. That is, I will put area of one triangle. Area of one of the triangular faces is 10.25. And how many triangular faces do I have? I have 4 of them, right? I have 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 triangular faces. So I need to take 10.25 and multiply it by 4 because I have 4 triangular faces. So 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 2 is 10. 4 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1, and 4 times 1 is 4. I have how many digits after the decimal? 1, 2. And so in my answer, there should be 1, 2 digits after the decimal. Okay, so I have 41. That would be 41 centimeters squared for my triangles and 16.81 for my square. So my final step is to add these together. So I have 41.00 plus 16.81. Okay, and that would, if I bring my decimal straight down, that's going to give me 57.81, and this is surface area, and so I know that my units are centimeters squared. This is the surface area of the square pyramid. I found the area of the square, I found the area of the 4 triangular faces, and then I added them together. So 57.81. Number 3, find the surface area of the box of cereal. Okay, now first let's find the front and the back. Okay, so the area of the front would be what? What's the area of this rectangle? It's an 8 by 12. And so I know, let me put front right here. The area of the front of the box would be 8 times 12. Okay, and that would be 96, right? Because of my fact fluency. Now, would you agree that the back of the box is the same thing? The back of the box is also an 8 by 12. So I'll go 8 times 12 is also 96. Okay, now what about the sides? Let me do the right side as I'm looking at it, the right side. And so that would be a 2 by what? Well, from here to here is 12, right? So this is a 2 by 12, a 2 by 12 rectangle, which would obviously be 24. That's the right side of the box, and the left side of the box would also be a 2 by 12, right? It's a 2 by 12. So to find the area, 2 times 12 is 24. So I have the front and the back, I have the left and the right. The final thing that I need is the top and the bottom. The top and the bottom. And so from here to here, that's going to be 8. And I know that from here to here, since here to here is 2, here to here is 2. And so the top and the bottom is going to be an 8 by 2. Let me call this the top. Okay, the top is an 8 by 2, which is 16. And the bottom will also be an 8 by 2. Okay, an 8 by 2 rectangle. Okay, so once I find the area of all the faces, my final step is just to add all of these up. So 16 plus 16 plus 24 plus 24 plus 96 plus 96. Okay, add all of those up, and because this is surface area, this would be inches squared. So show me over here how you add all of them up and then label inches squared. Number 4, final one here. It says Jen studied 16.1 hours over a period of 3.5 days. And it says on average, how much did she study each day? Okay, so because we want an average amount that she studied each day, you need to take your total hours, 16.1, and divide by the period of the days, so 3.5. Okay, so 16.1 divided by 3.5. Because you have a decimal outside the division bracket, you got to move that decimal one space to the right, of course, on both numbers. So draw me a little arrow there to show that you move it one space to the right. Now let's rewrite the problem. Inside the division bracket, you now have the number 161. And outside the division bracket, you now have the number 35. Okay, so 35 goes into 161 how many times? That's what you need to figure out. Now, where is the decimal on 161 now? Isn't it after the 1? It's right there, right? And what digits are after the decimal? There's some invisible zeros, right? So go ahead and add 1, one placeholder 0 for now. Now, in your decimal or in your answer, the decimal will come straight up. So the decimal will be right there in your answer. Okay, so you finish working this out and be sure to label how much did she study each day. It's going to be some number of hours. Once you finish showing all of your work, go ahead and turn it in.